So I mainly just want to focus on the whole big reveal at the end of this chapter, and that is the possibility of Kurogiri being a character named Oboro Shirakumo. So this character actually is coming from Vigilantes. And I don't read Vigilantes, nor have I really read it before I read this chapter. But I just want to put it out there that I'm going to explain who this character is and how he's tying into this, as well as what Kurogiri probably is. And let me put it out there that, like, you don't need to go and read Vigilantes to make sense of what's going on here. I think this actually is, like, the first time, or one of the big instances where a character that was almost exclusive to Vigilantes before this is actually playing into the bigger story of the, the standard My Hero canon. So Vigilantes is canon, but it's like kind of just doing its own thing. It's not really tying into this world, or at least before this point it wasn't. So the seeds of this was already kind of being planted with Shirakumo, because in the end of chapter 216, we saw that Aizawa was like remembering him after the whole big thing with Shinso happened, at the end of the joint training arc. And then we kind of saw a glimpse of him. We just saw like present Mike as a student, and then we saw Shirakumo next to him, and we're like, oh, who's that? That's interesting. Especially those of us like me who haven't read Vigilantes. And then in the follow-up chapter 217, present Mike drops his name. He's like, you see yourself in him, don't you, Aizawa? Or is this about Shirakumo talking about Shinso? And then Aizawa's like, get to the point if you have one. I've got somewhere to be. So we see that Aizawa is like really emotionally tied to Shirakumo. And so let me get into why that is. So back in the day, Aizawa and Shirakumo, as well as Present Mike, were all a part of Class 2A. And they were like all good friends, and they had like, great camaraderie going on. And then one day, when they were like out patrolling or whatever they were doing, they had ran into like this gigantic villain who had like a gigantification quirk. And while they were trying to take him down, just one thing led to another, and like this rubble had fallen on Shirakumo, and it basically killed him. And like this whole like emotional thing happened at that time. Like Aizawa wasn't really able to come to the reality that his friend had actually died. Like he had like thought that he was talking to him and whatnot, and then eventually he just realizes like, oh my god, my friend's dead. So this was like a big deal to him. It would be like if Izuku watched Bakugo die or something like that. So it's obviously really affected him, and it still affects him to this day. But apparently, based off of the information that we're getting in this chapter, it appears that he actually didn't die. And this is very, very reminiscent to the whole Obito Kakashi thing, because, there's already the parallel right there with Aizawa and Kakashi both having eye techniques, and then their friend getting killed, or supposedly being killed in rubble, and then we find out later on that they were saved at the last moment by, like, the big bad, and then, transformed into something else. But in this case, it's Kurogiri, and as we saw, Obito became Toby, and then, himself later on. So yeah, I'm guessing All For One or Yujiko or one of their subordinates had just coincidentally or maybe planned this all out, and had come across Shirakumo before he had died, and then grabbed him up and then turned him into Kurogiri somehow. So it says that in this case, multiple factors have been combined to form a single new quirk. And the root of all those factors is Shirakumo's original cloud quirk. So it's just as it sounds. Like he's basically able to create clouds, but they're like really dense, and they can like even be touched and like hold up people and stuff. And they can also store objects inside of them, which is very similar to Kurogiri's. And I always thought like Kurogiri's quirk was like really odd, like how it makes him look the way that he does and how powerful and multiversatile it is. And I was like, oh, was he really born with this quirk? I don't know, just for some reason I was always suspicious about Kurogiri, but apparently it is a new manufactured quirk. So this is like the next level of what Yujiko was doing. And this is also what we're kind of getting across with Gigantomachia, as where I originally thought that he didn't have multiple quirks, but the line in the translated version was actually like his body didn't need to be altered to have multiple quirks, such as with the Nomus, like, which they also talk about in this chapter, how they're just like puppets because of how morphed and altered they have become. But with Gigantomachia, he didn't have to be. And I guess with Kurogiri, they kind of went to an alternate route. They just took his existing quirk and then modified it to become what it is now. But he also didn't really lose his sanity or even become like feral the way that Gigantomachia does. He definitely has the most intelligence of any of like the test subjects of Yujiko and All for One that we've seen so far. And I've always thought it was odd the way that he like talks to people. Like he says their full name all the time. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Why does he say that? But I guess that's just what came with him being altered here. And also, but he does have like real intelligence other than just having conversations, because he did care for Shigaraki, because like he was trying to stop Shigaraki from killing Dabi and Toga, and he stopped them from having a whole big unnecessary big battle there. So he is aware of like social situations and things like that, but it seems like other than that, he has like some kind of like a mental leash on him, because it's also revealed that he can't talk about the league. Like he just physically can't. Like it just cuts him off whenever he tries or is talked to or asked about anything like that. So they have definitely altered him. Like he is no longer Shirakumo. He is now Kurogiri, but like the original vessel and quirk is him, but he's just been changed into what he is now. So this might be leading to what Aizawa's final opponent is of this series, because I assume that Kurogiri is going to break out of here, because most of us kind of guess that there's going to be a big prison break arc. So I assume that once Kurogiri gets out and they have the big war in 3 months or whenever, I think it's 3 months now, it's going to happen. I think Kurogiri, being Shirakumo, is going to be like Aizawa's big opponent to have in this war. Or at least that's where it seems like things are headed. But, that's pretty much it. It's unfortunate that this happened, but they've done this before. Like, we even found out that winged quirk kid that we see in the flashback with Bakugo and Izuku, he was turned into that winged Nomu at Hosu. So, yeah. They do horrible things. This is nothing new, but it's certainly finding out how they were able to alter an original quirk and make it even more powerful, then somehow alter his brain, but still somehow keep his intelligence. It's very interesting. But yeah, if you liked it, guys, please give it a like. Let me know what you think about all of this. Where do you think this is headed? And I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day.